Mentor of Heroes is obviously pretty powerful, but he only has 3 copies of Polychronos. So it's going to be, and he has 3 copies of Keening Apparition, which aren't particularly effective in this matchup. They can kill Corsair Crewfix, but other than that,
That's it.
you know, that's it. So yeah, I'm with you. I kind of like the fact that Jund Monsters just has more removal, especially after board, and access to Rakdos Return, which is obviously the killer in the green mirror.
Elvish Mystic here for Habel. Then he's going to play a Overgrown Tomb tapped. You got Sacred Foundry coming to play untapped. And now a Mana Accelerator in the form of Sylvan Caryatid there for Crandall. So Mana Acceleration is the key. Players are going to ramp up to casting some very, very large threats. Of course, don't forget, we'll bring it back to the booth here in the finals after this first game to ask, a 12-month trivia question as a pull Kronos on turn 3 here for Habel. We'll see what Crandall has on his turn 3 to just pick up a land for the turn. There's a Xenagos hiding out over there as well, but I think this third land's going to come into play tapped.
I love this type of magic. No islands, just creatures smashing into each other.
Yeah, I got a big creature. Me too. Fine.
Yeah, no Scryland pass.
Yeah.
Dissolve your spell. It's just like, yep, I'm just going to play a giant creature.
I got a big idiot. You got a big idiot. Let's go. Let's see what we have here. Looks like it might be a Domri for Habel. Habel's hand is pretty mana heavy. You know, he has an Abrupt Decay, he has a Domri. I think the other 3 cards are just lands right now.
Wow, yeah.
So that's not the best spot to be in. Gonna offer up maybe a trade here, or at least bluff a Rampager, which he does not have. Gonna follow this up, I believe, with a Domri, however. And that Domri's gonna be pretty important here because he needs some gas. He needs a card like Stormbreath Dragon to get back into this. And again, Crandall's deck accelerates just as well, if not better, than Habel's does. And you know, a card like, for example, a Johnny Mentor of Heroes, if that comes down, you put 3 counters in that pull of Kronos, you get to work.
Yeah, the problem here is if it is just Domri, it's not going to be around much for very long. So let's see here. Does he plays an Overgrown Tomb untapped, taking 2, and looks like he just passes here.
Interesting. The ability to...
I think he wants to just monstrous his Polychronos.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
He kind of figures, okay, if I just tap out for Domri here, he's just going to monstrous his Polychronos, kill my Mystic, and then kill my Domri.
Yep.
So I need to make sure I can make my Polychronos at least bigger than his.
And then win that fight. That is a Voyaging Satyr. Going to pass the turn back. And he says, I'm going to try to kill that Voyaging Satyr?
Do you have a Celestine Charm? Yes,
Oof,
you do.
Yes, you do.
Oof. So pretty good turn there for Justin Crandall.
Absolutely.
He gets another Mana Accelerator into play, and he deals with that Polychronos. And like you said, Jonathon doesn't have that much action left. Looks like he drew a Dreadbore, so he's got 2 copies of removal spell, but no gas other than Domri here.
Yeah, Dreadbore's not so bad. Habel's going to cast the Domri. He's going to tick this up. And now we're going to follow this up with the Dreadbore and the pull of Kronos. So presumably that Domri will not die. Bloodcrypt going to come and play tap before passing the turn back over to Crandall. We'll see if things do break that way, however, as Crandall will draw a card. It's an Ajani Mentor of Heroes.
So does he have a 5th land? If he can get that Ajani to put counters on the Voyaging Satyr.
There's 5 mana in play. I mean,
well,
again,
he wants to attack.
To finish off the Domri,
if he can get another land to finish off the Domri this turn, that's huge.
Yeah.
But either way, just getting a Ajani into play would still be fine.
There's
but it looks
Xenagos.
Like, okay, so Xenagos plus Satyr is going to attack Domri down to 1, and we might see a Ajani next turn. And a Ajani Mentor of the Heroes, that's one of the back-breaking Planeswalkers in this mirror, or in this matchup, rather.
A Temple going to come into play. You can see Habel's flooding out pretty badly here. He's got to put the top card to the bottom. Now he's got to tick up Domri and hope that this is a creature. It's not a creature. You can see that there's an Abrupt Decay in his hand, and that's about it. So now he's got to pass the turn back. You have to imagine that Domri's going to die next turn. The things get even worse if a Johnny Mentor Hero shows up. And again, if we're going to play some Haymaker Magic, even though Habel does have removal in his deck, where Crandall really doesn't for the most part, he does have those 3 mortars to go along with 2 copies of Celestia Charm. The thing that Crandall can do is he can just keep presenting threat after threat after threat and overload those removal spells.
Yeah, particularly with all the Planeswalkers he has in his deck, like Ajani, Elspeth, Xenagos. I mean, he has a lot more Planeswalkers than Jund Monsters does. And, you know, Jund Monsters only has Dreadbore as ways to directly remove Planeswalkers off the board, short of attacking them.
So Crandall just draw his card. You see the Xenagos out there. Did make another Satyr token. They're at the ready to start attacking. 2 copies of Ajani, Mentor of Heroes, right now in Crandall's hand. Does have the ability to deploy 1 if he'd like. He's got some other options in the grip as well. Just trying to figure out exactly what to do, what to be scared of in this situation.
Yeah, I think he's... I mean, he knows Jonathan's deck list. He knows he doesn't have that many removal spells. Instant speed, he really only has to worry about Abrupt Decay. So probably just playing around the Abrupt Decay here. If you just play Ajani and then put counters on each of the 3 creatures in play, I think it's probably the best play for him right now.
Well, the Mentor of Heroes is going to show up to the party. line, and he is going to spread those counters out.
Yeah, so this guarantees that Domri will die this turn, even through an Abrupt Decay.
So interesting. So many cards coming from Journey into Nyx. You almost forget about some of the ones that were spoiled early on. You know, you talk about Eidolon of Blossom so much yesterday in the Black-Green Constellation deck. It's kind of overlooked. We didn't really think about it very much. And then Johnny Mentor of Heroes, one of the first cards that was spoiled. And it's like, you know, that's kind of cool or whatever. It's like, no, this card's definitely very good.
Yeah. So it looks like Justin might have just attacked Jonathon, which, again, with Jonathon at 11, I guess makes sense. But you have to be a little worried about giving him another hit with Domri just because you're not going to be killing him. But doesn't matter. Jonathon had yet another land on top of his deck. And Justin Crandall, on the strength of a Johnny, Mentor of Heroes, and Xenagos Reveler, managed to win the first game.
Yeah, we're going to bring it back to us here in the booth really quickly. It's trivia time. You've got the rules. I've got the question. Fire away for 12 months.
Okay, so for 12 months of Star City Games Premium, all you have to do is answer the trivia question that my partner in crime, Cedric Phillips, will be giving you. Tweet the answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Again, speed doesn't matter, just accuracy. And after the match is done, we will tell you what the answer is and tell you who the winner is for 12 months of Star City Games Premium.
Next weekend, the Open Series continues on. The question is, where are we going to be? Patrick Sullivan and I will be bringing you a show along with Andrew Shrout and the rest of the SCG Live crew. The question is, what city are we going to be in? If you know the answer, hashtag the answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live, and we will announce the winner at the conclusion of our finals match, which Justin Crandall has won game number 1 in pretty dominating fashion. You know, a little bit of mana fled there on Habel's side, but things are certainly going to change after sideboard. Habel's got a lot of things to bring in here. You see 3 Mistcutter Hydras, 3 Nylea's Disciples, a Doomblade, 2 Golgari Charm, 2 Putrefy, Vraska the Unseen, a Mizzium Mortars, and 2 copies of Rakdos' Return. I think you got to love the Doomblade and the Putrefys to start.
Yeah, I mean, Doomblade, Putrefy, Vraska is another way to kill Planeswalkers, and again, Mizzium Mortars, Rakdos' Return. I imagine he sideboards pretty much the same way he did in the last match against Jund Monsters. Really no difference here. The only thing he has to worry about is there's more Planeswalkers to contend with, but he also doesn't have to worry nearly as much removal as he did the last time, because obviously he doesn't have to worry about cards like Doomblade and Putrefy. Really, the removal that Justin has in his main deck, that's pretty much the only removal he has to worry about. He doesn't have to worry about any more extra sideboard. On Crandall's side, though, he has a little bit of a tougher time. He doesn't really have that many great options against Jund Monsters. Obviously, Unflinching Courage was a great card against the old red-green Monsters deck, but now that they have access to, you know, black removal, Unflinching Courage just kind of exposes yourself for a 2-for-1. Magma Spray, not very good in this matchup. Anger of the Gods potentially could blow your opponent out if they get those mana-heavy, the mana creature-heavy hands. So on the draw, it wouldn't be that surprising, but again, if you're bringing in Anger of the Gods, it kind of puts mana ramp for you is also important in this matchup. Yeah. So you're kind of put in an awkward spot. So I kind of see him really. Elspeth's Sun's Champion's probably the only card that I'd really see him as an auto include.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to change too much.
Yeah, it really doesn't have to change too much because his deck game 1 is basically pretty okay against Jund Monsters simply because you have a lot of high-end spells. So as long as you make your mana, you can probably out-duke your opponent. But again, I think that after sideboard, really just Elspeth. So, and even though Jonathon lost the first game, I still think after board, I mean, I thought game 1 can go either way, but after board, I think the combination of Rakdos Return and the targeted removal might just be too much for the big Naya deck. But again, we've kind of seen how sometimes these games are so stupid where it's just like, all right, you have a Stormbird Dragon, and I just didn't draw my answer to it.
Yeah, I'm dead. That's fine.
Yeah, because there just aren't that many answers to it. I mean, if you add them all up, there's like 7 answers to Stormbird Dragon, but you're also put a lot of pressure on Planeswalker, so sometimes you have to use a Dreadbore on a Planeswalker. Sometimes you just have to use a Mizzium Mortars on like a random Corsair Crew fix. There's also Polychronos, so your removal is spread pretty thin. So we'll see here if Justin can close things out or if Jonathon can come back because on the strength of his sideboard.
It is going to be some Haymaker magic here in just a moment. Justin Crandall able to win the first game of Haymaker magic over Jonathon Habel. Again, Habel, already a Standard Open champion in St. Louis earlier this year, did defeat Chris Van Meter in the semifinals of that tournament, did it again here. He won with Green-Red in St. Louis. He's playing Jund Monsters this go-around. Back against the wall right now against Justin Crandall. He's on the play this game is Habel. And it looks like he is going to keep. You see there's a Rakdos Return, there's a Xenagos. Not sure if he has any Mana Accelerant just yet in his opener. But we're underway here either way in game number 2. Crandall with a Temple of Abandon. Gonna take a look at the top, consult the hand, see where he wants to put that card. Habel just had a Stomping Ground. You see there's a Mizzium Mortars, and I believe the rest of his hand is just a Xenagos and a Rakdos return to work towards. That's it.
Yeah, so, you know, he's got some powerful spells. I think he might have
There's a Rampager high now.
Rampager in there. So no mana ramp, but draws another land for the turn. But he's got those high-end spells. He's got the sideboard card and Rakdos return. So as long as Justin doesn't present too much of a threat early on, he could be okay. Although Justin does ramp here, which is huge. Like even a turn 3 Polychronos could be big because Jonathon really doesn't have an answer for that.
There's a Domri, so that's going to start things up. That's going to tick up to 4. There's a Scavenging Ooze for Habel. Going to pass the turn back over to Crandall, who will take a draw. He does have a Xenagos in his hand. The question is, does the third land come into play untapped? It does yet again. There's a Temple Garden. He'll take 2 to cast a 4-mana spell. Which one will it be? It is a Xenagos the Reveler. Satyr Token going to come in, knock Domri down to 2 before passing the turn back over to Habel, who will take a draw. Again, he does have Mizzium Mortars in his hand. He does have a Rakdos return that he's working towards. And he does have a Scavenging Ooze that Domri did hit. Also has a Sylvan Caryatid as well here. So he's going to start, we believe, maybe by taking up Domri. Seems a little bit unsure what he wants to do thus far.
He might, given his board state, he might decide to just cash in his Domri. He could just play a land, cast Gorkland Rampager, and swap the Domri with the Voyaging Satyr, just to keep Justin off of mana a little bit. You get that Gorkland Rampager in play. It allows you to potentially attack Xenagos next turn, halts Justin's attack, keeps him off mana, all at the expense of just losing your Domri, which probably isn't that huge right here, just given your board. It looks like he's going to take 2. Let's see what he decides to do here. I don't know if he does have a copy of Xenagos, that's another option for him, but I don't hate just playing Gorkland Rampager here and fighting.
This is kind of an interesting turn. There's a Sylvan Caryatid, and this looks like he's going to play the Ooze and pass the turn back. And now he's going to fight here to take that. I was going to say, I kind of like the Ooze play because you can play 2 spells in 1 turn, pass the turn back, and still ramp a little bit. I think either way, I like slowing down the mana acceleration of Crandall.
Yeah. You want to get that Satyr off the board. You don't want him to get to 5 mana and cast Stormbred Dragon, given your board. But yeah, you're right. This play allows him to get a little bit of ramp in play, and you still have that Rampager in your hand. So if you want to attack Xenagos, you can. So, and it also gives him the option to potentially cast Rakdos return for 4 next turn if he hits a land.
Decisions here for Crandall. His mana gets stunted a little bit. And of course, he can't tick up Xenagos to be able to generate another mana along with the 3 that he has in play, but it seems like 5 mana is kind of the sweet spot in his deck as far as Ajani and Stormbred Dragon and some other cards are concerned, and they may have been slowed down here. Also, Scavenging Ooze is a pretty good card in this matchup.
Yeah, it can get pretty big, gives you a little life. There's already 1 creature in the graveyard. The creatures kind of bounce back off each other. There's a lot more removal after board, especially on Jonathan's side. So I think Justin might have boarded into Mistcutter Hydra.
That looks to be the case. There's a 3/3 haster.
Yeah, so we could see another Satyr token and attack for 7 here from Justin. So this will make the next turn for Jonathon pretty interesting because if he wants to try to go for that Rakdos return play, he's potentially exposing himself to another 7-point swing.
Is everybody going to come into the red zone is the question. No one's going to come into the red zone.
Wow,
that's surprising. I think if you're Jonathon, you got to be happy about that. I mean, what this is saying loud and clear is, okay, my Xenagos is very important for my next turn because it can take up and generate 3 mana. And then the other 4 obviously makes it so there's 7 mana if he draws land, potential for 8 mana to be used. But not seeing an attack there is a little bit surprising. I think if you're Jonathon, you got to be absolutely thrilled because now you can actually make that Rakdos return play and actually be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Rakdos return, making him pitch 3 cards and dealing with the Xenagos, you have to be a little concerned with why does he care that much about his Xenagos? Like, is he just ramping to 7? Maybe have to worry about Elspeth here. Again, Elspeth you could potentially answer an Elspeth with a Rakdos return, so maybe that's his logic.
Well, now a bunch of mana is being tapped, so what's going on here? Okay, a Johnny Mentor of Heroes is going to come into play. That's going to tick up. We might be spreading out some counters at this point. Habel just played Elvish Mystic, and he's leaving a Putrefy, along with Scavenging Ooze activations. So now this is going to be a little bit bigger. And now we might have a Satyr token here as well. What this feels like to me is Habel is going to be working his way towards a very, very good Mizzium Mortars or Rakdos return. And now everyone's going to come into the red zone.
Yeah, so this is actually, Jonathon's probably okay with this because he can putrefy a Mistcutter Hydra if he wants to. But yeah, he really Mizium Mortars. He should be able to cast it next turn.
It's actually kind of funny. Like, he doesn't even need to putrefy this turn. What he can do is just block there. He can eat the Voyaging Satyr, make his creature into a 3/3, trade with a 2/2, take all the damage, save the putrefy for later if he wants. I mean, he can do this. He can use the putrefy as he does in the Mistcutter Hydra just to keep his life total high.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He just wanted to maybe keep his life total a little high.
Yeah.
So he just takes 6 here, and now he's going to be able to overload Mizium Mortars and attack the Xenagos. So Ajani will still be in play.
Yeah, this is actually kind of interesting too, because like he doesn't need. I guess this land he can go. He can now. He can play Rakdos Return for 5 on a Johnny, kill that, and then you can finish off Xenagos with the attack.
Yeah, you know what? I actually kind of like the Rakdos Return play more because you kill the Ajani this turn, and you empty his hand. That seems much more relevant than him just having a Xenagos and tokens, because again, you can clear that out next turn with the Mortars.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of if he Rakdos Returns for 5 there, he kills the Ajani, clears out the hand, and then can attack the Sylvan Caryatid into the Xenagos, kills that because it has 3 tokens on it. Then you just have to beat those Satyr tokens that are in play, and then whatever your opponent top decks. I think you're in a pretty favorable position at that point.
Yeah, because now you have to worry about, if you don't have any more removal left in your hand, if he just gets a big creature into play and then puts counters on it, it's hard for you to beat that.
Yeah.
You know? Like a Palokronos with 3 tokens on it. I mean,
either way, Temple Planning is going to come in. Johnny's going to move up. Courser was the thing. Courser was the card that preceded all of this.
oh, so it looks like he actually down ticked, or he put counters on the Courser. So Courser's now 5/7.
And that's like a realistic problem. That's a big creature. Like,
Yeah.
he can't get through that. I mean, there are some creatures in the graveyard. I think there's only one creature in the graveyard, honestly, in Mistcutter Hydra. But that's a real problem to be had. That's a 5/7 creature out there. I can't attack. You know, I do have a Rakdos Return. I can clear out everything. But you know, the play that we mentioned last turn, I kind of like a little bit better. Doesn't mean that it's correct.
No, I think you deal with the Ajani, which is the big. Ajani is a more powerful planeswalker than Xenagos. So if you just think of it that way, and the Mizium Mortar play will still be able to clear off the board the next turn. Whereas Rakdos Return, you still be able to empty his hand, but you're not dealing with the permanence in play. So it looks like Habel drew a Gorkland Rampager this turn.
He's certainly acting like it.
But the awkward thing for him is, even if he clears out Justin's hand and deals with Ajani, Justin still has a Mistcutter Hydra on top of his deck.
Yeah. I guess this is really interesting to me with this.
So Jonathon has 1 card left in his hand in a Rakdos. It's just a Rakdos Return.
Yeah.
So now, he's really not getting max value out of that return.
Yeah.
If he doesn't cast it this turn, Justin can cast the Ajani in his hand.
And this is just such a strange use of Rakdos Return to me, where that thing can just light up the Ajani, and you can save the Rampager, cast it the following turn, things of that nature. It's a really weird use to me of the card.
Yeah. Now you're going to get attacked for 10.
Yeah.
And you're at 13, and you just have a 3/3 ooze in play as your biggest threat. You have no cards left in his hand. Yeah,
Now
very strange sequencing for Jonathon, because you're right. If he just goes Rakdos Return first, then Mizium Mortars, he's in a much better position.
Yep. Now Habel's facing down 2 gigantic threats. He's going to be relying on this ooze to get the job done. Likely some chump blocking. Sure, he can draw to removal spells to get himself out of the situation, but it's got to be, you know, kind of a runner-runner situation right now, because the interesting thing about this game is that, you know, for how many creatures have died and cards that have been put in the graveyard, there's not a lot of creatures in the graveyard.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Justin has plenty of cards that he could top deck. Like, he's Big Naya for a reason.
Yeah. Xenagos is the top deck. A Sacred Fountain would be coming the next turn, sure, but
well,
again,
he has the Courser, so he can play that right now, gain a life. Reveals a Temple, so that's another card that allows him to scry. Gets another Satyr here. With Jonathon at 4, yeah, he's in a tough spot right here.
No great blocks either.
Yeah, he basically can eat up a Satyr, but the Satyr doesn't even have to attack this turn. Right now, Ooze is a 4/4. I'm not sure doesn't look like there's any creatures left in Justin's
There's a lot
graveyard.
of Planeswalkers.
Yeah, a lot of
Planeswalkers.
Planeswalkers. Don't know what's in Jonathan's graveyard, but doesn't look like the Ooze could get too much bigger. I don't believe there's that many creatures that died on Jonathan's side. Although, if he starts chump blocking with his Elvish Mystic and Sylvan Caryatid, that's at least one option.
Yeah.
He basically needs to get it to a 6/6.
Crandall a little wary of how he wants to attack right now. Definitely is a little unsure of himself. He can feel You know, he probably feels that, okay, I'm in a really good situation to win this tournament. I want to make sure I don't make a mistake with my attackers. We saw him play really conservatively with his Xenagos a little bit earlier in the finals. Now he's going to be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, I don't like this attack at all because obviously I think just Jonathon basically has to chump block with the Carotid and Elvis Mystic just to get more creatures in his graveyard. And now he can just use the ooze to block the Satyr and then gain 2 life and make his ooze a 6/6, which is the key number. You need it to be a 6 power at least. That way it can start eating up the Mistcutter Hydra.
Yep. You're going to see the chump blocks here.
Yeah, so I kind of like holding back the Satyr just to attack with the 2 Satyrs the next turn.
Next turn, yeah. It's time to gain a bunch of life, remove some creatures from the graveyard. So it looks like there are 3 creatures in the bin here for Jonathon.
Yeah, so here the Rampager as well, so.
So now that thing's a 7/7. He's going to gain a bunch of life. Let's see what Habel's able to draw off the top of his deck. He needs a really good card at this point. Pretty sure he just has a land in his hand. Couldn't get a great look at what he picked up for the turn.
Yeah, so because of that attack, Jonathon's has a little breathing room here. Not much, because there's still an active Xenagos, but it looks like that's going to get taken down here.
This is a Pulachronos.
Yeah, he must have drawn a blocker.
Yep. He picked up a Pulachronos for the turn, and he's able to make this attack because he knows the top card. The information that Corsair is providing him lets him know that, hey, I can make an attack like this because I'm not going to die this turn. That cannot happen.
Well, Pulachronos will get chumped. Oh, wow, there's a Mizzy-Mortar. So that's Mizzy-Mortar's not that relevant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much.
But let's see here. If Justin attacks with both creatures, he just has 2 mana up, so the 5/5 could trade with the Mistcutter Hydra.
Yep.
So if you're Justin, I think you just attack with Corsair here. Or do you make him trade? Do you make him trade with the Pulachronos here? Just because Pulachronos can't get out monstrous. That's the thing. You don't want if you just attack with Corsair, then Jonathon will just say, okay, I probably fall to 2, and now I'm gonna have 2 giant creatures that can eat up your giant creatures. And I know you just have a mortars.
I don't like no attacking.
Yeah, I think you have to attack and force him to trade the Pulachronos there.
Just going to pass the turn back now. Now Scavenging is staying back on defense as well. Mizzy-Mortars is the draw. The top card here is Stomping Ground. That's going to come into play. One thing about Corsair is going to ensure that Crandall can actually draw some real cards. The second Mizzy-Mortars is the top card. And that can, this is kind of interesting because now 2 of those can actually take down the ooze since it's a 7/7. So that's a little bit interesting.
It's interesting. However, the Pulachronos, how much do you have? You have 7 mana, so you become an 8/8. Yeah.
And basically, 2 Mizzy-Mortars gets to take out 1 of these cards.
Yeah.
Pulachronos is going to grow. Yeah. Okay, we fight. We bounce off of each other. This is a temple. Take a look at the top card. Habel presumably looking for some sort of removal spell so he can start attacking. The situation definitely favors Crandall right now, just because of Corsair.
Yeah, Corsair, plus he's going to be able to kill at least 1 of these creatures. Yeah. Jonathon looks like he just has land in his hand. He just scryed here. I think if he wants to keep it or not, he is going to keep it.
Okay, that's a little bit scary.
So if you're Justin, you probably take out the ooze, I'd imagine.
I think ooze is the better card. I mean, right now Pulachronos is 8/8 textless. Stormbreath Dragon, the top card of the deck here.
Stormbreath Dragon, so huge the card there. Let's see here. We're going to see Overload Mizzy-Mortars, and then cast 1 to deal with the ooze, and then you could just attack with both the creatures.
Yeah. The only thing here for Crandall is got to be, Crandall will probably think about, okay, what could you possibly have in this situation, stuff like that. But yeah, safely can overload Mizzy-Mortars, cast another one, get 1 of these creatures on the table. If I'm in Crandall's position, I'm picking the ooze just because it's the better of the 2. Because Pulachronos has already gone monstrous, so it's just an 8/8 textless creature at this point.
Yeah, it's an 8/8 instead of a 7/7. But again, the ooze can grow bigger and the life gain. So now you attack with everything. If Pulachronos blocks, even being an 8/8 because the Mizzy-Mortars
it has to block or he dies.
Yeah, it has to die here. So Justin's threatening lethal next turn with that Stormbreath on top of his deck, as well as another 5-power creature in play. So Justin, pretty good shape right here. Not sure what Jonathon can draw. He knows what he's drawing because he's right at the top.
Let's see what this card is, a Pulachronos, just passing the turn back, and that's not really going to do very much unless Habel's card is a removal spell like a Putrefy.
Which you probably would have used last turn. So, yeah, let's see. Unless he was trying to bait Justin. It's possible that he was trying to bait Justin into making this attack.
Well, I promise he's going to make this attack. So we're going to do this. We're going to show some and that is going to do it. Justin Crandall, Star City Games, Indianapolis Standard Open champion with Big Naya.
Mistcutter Hydra, you don't really think about it a lot when you're talking about the Jund matchup, but Mistcutter Hydra, just a fatty.